Hi there, welcome back to the podcast, myself, Joseph Clough. I hope you're absolutely wonderful today. As always, for more information about me, go ahead and visit josephclough.com. As well as that, you may well want to visit my fan page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/josephsfanpage, and Twitter, which is twitter.com/josephclough. So today I wanted to give you a bit of insight about how we can actually start retraining our mind all by ourselves. So you don't always need the help of a hypnosis CD, MP3 download, or going onto seminars or purchasing lots and lots of books. It is something which, don't get me wrong, I fully believe that they work, and that's why I sell them, and I get amazing results from them. But I also want to be able to, I hope you know by now, that I really want to help you be the real you. So yes, the hypnosis CDs that I do and the downloads I do are absolutely amazing because it bypasses your conscious mind and really works with your unconscious mind. I mean, after all, if you could consciously change, you would. If you haven't so far, it's been a bit more of a struggle to be able to be that way. And since if that's the case, it means your unconscious mind is running the issue. So the hypnosis CDs and downloads are absolutely amazing, but let's give you a tip which will really help you without using those type of things, or even in conjunction with them. As you know, I'm all about helping people even, so let's go straight with it. Sometimes, let's take it in two ways. Let's just say you've worked with someone on a one-to-one level, but there's still a residual habit, feeling, or thought which is negative, and you just can't get rid of it for whatever reason. Not necessarily because they're a bad therapist or anything like that, but for whatever reason, there's still part of the issue left. Let's just say there's like 10-20% left of the issue. Now, the chances are the therapist or the hypnotherapist or the coach or the CD have been absolutely great to help you. 80% change is great. But you want to be able to really get to the 100%. I'm really focused on getting us to exactly where we need to be. So I want to give you, for the people out there who have been in that situation, I want to give you a tip which will really help with that. Now, the reason why the problem hasn't completely gone in that situation, the chances are, because you may have had this issue for quite a while, your unconscious mind has just made it a habit, so it can take time to break free of that habit. Or maybe this is the first time that you've really wanted to let go of an issue. You haven't got a hypnosis CD or download yet. You haven't worked with someone, and you're just testing this stuff out. And you're thinking, I don't want to commit and purchase or invest anything until I really get a good idea of how things work. There's going to be perfect for you as well. So no matter what or where we are in the process of change, there's going to really help you make changes by yourself. And to me, that's empowerment. That's where you feel really powerful in yourself because you took decisive action in doing this. So no matter if you're in the first category of having actively made changes already, or maybe you're all new to this process is going to either speed up the results for the first one or really just get wonderful results straight away if you're all new to this. So here's a couple of things that I really suggest you doing. The first thing is you've got to break up the habit. You've got to be able to break up the thought patterns and the physical habits that you've been running, whether it be weeks, days, months, or years. You've got to start breaking those habits consciously. Because if you've had an issue or symptoms for a long period of time, your body just gets used to it. It thinks it's normal, so it doesn't think that it's doing anything wrong. Let's take something like learning to drive for the first time. The first time you learned, you didn't do it very well. You were maybe self-conscious or overly conscious in trying to do the gears, the clutch, the mirrors, watching out for the speed, even the people outside of the car you've got to watch out for when you're driving. But after a period of time, it became natural. You didn't think about driving. Now when you drive, the chances are, if you've been doing it for a long time, you don't even think about driving. You just get in a car and you go and you arrive at your destination, and there's not too much more thinking than that. To the point that you can lose yourself in listening to a podcast. You may lose yourself listening to the radio. You may lose yourself thinking about where you're going or what you're about to do or what we've done in the last few days or so. You can be really focused on that stuff while your unconscious mind is running the habit and the behaviors. So your unconscious mind assumes control over things which you do on a consistent basis. So anything you do once, twice, 3 times a day and more, your unconscious mind will think that this is a natural way of being. And that can be for anything, maybe for smokers, for people who are addicted to drinking soft drinks, for people who have got gambling issues or any types of addictions, or any habit that you have you'd like to break. Your unconscious mind is simply just used to it, and the chances are it thinks that it's doing a good job for you. So the first thing we need to do is break up that thought pattern. So as you go throughout your day and you begin to experience this habit or the symptoms that you experience when it comes to this issue, what I'd like you to do is begin to replay that thought. Let's just say for someone who, whether they blush or they don't feel good about themselves and they've got that negative self-talk. Let's just say this person goes into a situation and a thought comes up and it says, I'm not good enough, or what do they think of me? And naturally, those type of thoughts don't make us feel good or act or react in a very calm way. So as soon as that thought comes up, what I'd like you to do is replay that self-talk, replay that internal dialogue that you have yourself with the most silliest, most craziest voice that you can think of. So, for example, one thing I think is really good, things like a Mickey Mouse voice. If you replay that voice in a Mickey Mouse voice, it starts to confuse your unconscious mind. It thinks it is a little bit different. And the more you begin to do that, it starts to make things seem silly. So every time you start to have that internal dialogue with yourself, the tonality begins to transform, that you start to no longer even noticing it. It actually starts to disappear because it's no longer serious anymore. So we've got to take ourselves very, very lightly. So when you have that thought, begin to replay it in a way which makes it silly, which doesn't really hold much substance or any factual, what you perceive strong and factual about the outcome of what you're saying. So we really begin to change the internal dialogue of you into a more funny and more silly voice. I mean, I do this for phobias all the time as well. I get people to begin to imagine the thought they have about that thing in the most silly, most ridiculous voice they can think of, because then it doesn't hold tight anymore. It doesn't seem real, because if anyone, I mean, you could tell something, let's just say, for example, Mickey Mouse told you something deadly serious. Automatically, you're not going to really take it serious because of a tonality attached to it. It just doesn't seem real. So the more you begin to repeat it, the serious side of it begins to transform. So really start to change your internal dialogue by changing the tonality or replacing it with a voice which you find silly and even not important. It's just too silly to even think about. Now, when this begins to happen, what I'd also like to do, as soon as you begin to think in that voice, we've got to now replace it with something new as well. So you could say, well, the first thought we've made silly, so to make it less potent, to make it less important. Now we've got to be able to put something on top of that, or after it, which makes it much more secure in the thoughts that you would like to have. So what a great sentence would be that I am free of whatever it may be. So it could be low self-esteem, blushing, or eating disorder, or anxiety, whatever it may be. So I am free of fill in the blank. And then you say, I am, and whatever positive statement that you'd like. So let's just say the internal dialogue was, I'm not good enough, and you made that all silly. Then you say, I am free of, for example, low self-esteem, and I am good enough. I am worthy. So you begin to build upon a new foundation of positivity. So begin to say the I ams. So I am worthy. I am confident. I am free of blushing, or I am cool, calm, and collective. I am just completely how I want to be. I am powerful beyond all measure. Begin to put those new belief systems, because they are belief systems, aren't they? They're the I am statements. This begins to transform your identity. So we're not just working on the behavior or feelings or thoughts now. We're starting to build up a new habitual belief system, which is what you are. So I am worthy. I am good enough. And when your unconscious mind really gets this over a period of time, it just transforms and transcends everything in your life, in all areas of your life, in the most wonderful way. So first of all, we make things silly. So the present internal dialogue in a silly way, and then begin to replace it with something strong and powerful that you choose. So I am free of what have you, and then I am fill in the blank in the positive statements or belief systems. This means we're now interrupting the habit and the pattern, because when you think about it, everything that you do right now is simply a strategy that you've learned over a period of time. So now we're beginning to break up this strategy and begin to install a new one. So by reaffirming these new positive empowering thoughts and belief systems, your unconscious mind then takes that into a habit. And as that becomes a habit, you become more free, and your unconscious mind takes full responsibility in making it happen. Now, the part 2 of this is the other tip that I have for you, is that there's exactly what I did when retraining my mind to be able to feel good about myself and also to let go of blushing. And it's a process which is called visual state rehearsal, and there's no woo-woo la-la stuff. There's all real stuff which has been proven in so many studies. Wherever you go in the mind, your body begins to go there too. There's been countless of studies of just by visualizing something on a repetitive basis, your body begins to reenact that in a physical level, and also in a way which it happens in the future as well. I mean, you ever watched a movie and you were so involved in the movie that you felt a certain emotion, whether it be fear, whether it be anxiety, whether it be excitement, or even sadness. Your body thinks it's real to a certain point. Even to the point where you can jump out your seat because you think that you're there. The other kind of scenarios would be, I like when watching football, as in the British football, which would be the American soccer, by the way. When I watch that, I can either see people in the stadium, or even the players themselves, or if I'm watching it at home and I'm watching it with people, let's just say they go for a shot or they go for a header, you see the people around you, the audience, the other players, trying to mimic that actual reaction too. So they physically jolt and try to head the ball, even though they're not even in the match. They're so involved that your body reacts to it. Anything which happens externally, your brain's going to begin to think of a way of how you can act and react in it. And your body's going to produce those feelings. And they've done lots of studies on this. I was talking to my good friend Dr. David Hamilton, and he's done some great books about this as well in the studies, where just watching people do a behavior over and over again actually gets, by doing the tests on the person watching it, actually changes the muscle mass, which is strange, isn't it? So, for example, if someone pressed a button for half hour every day, you'd fully expect their muscle to grow because of that. And they've done other studies of just imagining pressing that button in their mind for half hour a day. Just imagining in the mind, there was a significant growth in the finger muscles by just imagining it. But even crazier than that, the people watching the people press a button, their muscle growth began to expand as well. So it's like, just by watching someone, you can actually make huge changes. So, knowing I slightly digress on the evidence there, how can we apply that type of information into our life? So there's the next step to having broken up the habitual processes in day-to-day life. So this new way is going to teach your unconscious mind a new way of acting and reacting. Because ultimately, we've been programmed way too much by our past previous experiences. Ultimately, how we can change this is beginning to, as you go to sleep at night, begin to visually rehearse your next day. So in your mind, see yourself acting and reacting the way that you'd like to act and react. So if it was about blushing, see yourself remaining calm and relaxed in all situations with those empowering thoughts. If it's about being more confident, see yourself acting and reacting in a confident way. If it's about sport performance, see yourself in the match or in the game getting better and better and better. No matter what it is, even weight loss, see yourself losing weight. No matter what it is, begin to, for about 15 minutes as you go to sleep, visually rehearse your next day. And begin to see that you acting and reacting in a way that really is how you want it. Exactly how you want. No half measures. Exactly how you want it. As you begin to do this, you're actually pre-teaching your unconscious mind a new strategy. Not only on an emotional level, but also a mental and physical level. Because your unconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is imagined and real. So the more you go there in the mind, the more you're going to begin to go there in reality too. So as you go to sleep, spend 15 nights visual rehearsal of how you'd like to be different and see yourself in a positive way. Because obviously, if you're seeing yourself in a negative way, your unconscious mind is going to think that's true as well, and it's going to take the process back. So really make sure you're focusing in the positive there. And while you're doing it, you can repeat those sentences, those thoughts of, I am free of whatever it is, or I am worthy or good enough, or whatever it may be for you. Repeat those while you're watching that you, because that's just going to double the effect that we have. So this, after a period of time, will start to retrain your mind and develop a new strategy which is with you for good. Obviously, you can modify it as you go, but it's going to really start to ingrain a new way of being. I mean, let's picture this as a metaphor. Imagine an overgrown garden. You go down the one route of that garden for a week, for a month, for a year. After a while, what's going to happen? It's going to be nice and well trodden as you go through that overgrown garden. Now, the first time you go down a new route, it's going to be a little bit hard because it's all overgrown and you're trying to get over there. But after a period of time, it starts to happen. It starts to be more well trodden down. This is the exact wonderful metaphor you use for the brain. The first time you start to have these thoughts, it might be a little bit tricky because you've been so used to going down the other route. But as you begin to go down this new route, it starts to get easier and your body finds it easier as well. So they're the two steps. The first one of all is to break up the habit and pattern of your self-talk and your thinking. This would be, first of all, repeating what your negative thought is in a very, very silly voice, which really makes it so it doesn't hold ground anymore. It doesn't seem very real. And then replacing it with saying empowering, like an empowering statement or belief system you'd like to have. And the second part of it is, as you go to sleep, take 15 minutes off and really focus on visual rehearsal of how you'd like to be different, and while repeating those positive statements. Take it as a 30-day challenge. Do it for 30 days and just notice the results that you get. And I can promise you, you're going to see a huge change in your life. So I hope you enjoyed those 2 tips there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at joseph@josephclough.com or visit josephclough.com, which has a wealth of information there, from free podcasts to hypnosis CDs and MP3 downloads, my seminars, my trainings, all manner of wonderful things there. And also on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Joseph's fan page, and Twitter, which is twitter.com/JosephClough. So have a wonderful weekend, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. Bye-bye.